on them have busted. Anybody that handles these critter cages knows that those locks last about 2 weeks.
Not so long.
So that's why the
Paperclip.
That's why the paperclip. And these are really expensive locks, and very technologically advanced lock systems we have here. Well, thank you, James. I appreciate it.
We're gonna have snack after these guys leave. We'll go downstairs to have our snack. So.
I mainly, a lot of times when I do programs a little longer, we talk a lot and we answer questions, but we really just have only a half an hour. So what I want to do with y'all, and I think probably y'all would rather do than have me flap my lips much longer, is to hold and touch and look at these animals. Now, just because I've brought them does not mean you have to touch or hold or whatever. So if you're a little trepidatious about it, don't feel alone. A lot of adults feel the same way that you do about snakes. We just have, for whatever reason, I guess it dates back to the story of the Bible about the serpent. We all seem to have, or a lot of us anyway, seem to have an inherent fear of snakes. It's really interesting when I go to classes to see children that won't get within 10 feet of a snake, yet they will hold an American alligator. God bless you.
Bless you.
That is not logical, but fears are not always logical. We all have fears about things. So if you're a little bit, worried about it, we've got a half an hour. You might can see one of your friends holding one or touching one, and even though you're not holding one at first, 20 minutes later, you might. If you change your mind, we'll go back.
Yeah, you can change your mind.
All of these animals that I've brought to you, all the snakes, the reptiles, are non-venomous snakes. I do not have any venomous snakes. And really, pardon?
Poisonous.
Right. Poison, as James and Kathy and other scientists will tell you about reptiles, it's really venom that we're talking about, not poison. It's a little bit different. That's kind of a complicated conversation, but we refer to them as venomous or non-venomous. And these are all non-venomous, so they cannot hurt you. And people get very worried about snakes and snake bites. And anything with a mouth will bite. The first thing that a lot of elementary school kids will ask me, do those snakes bite? I say, well, they could.
But
this one has not in 15 years bitten anybody, but anything with a mouth could bite. You could bite, couldn't you? But have you bitten anybody lately? I hope not.
I've had tons of pet snakes in the past, and when I brought them to school, some people got really scared. My teachers let me bring them to school.
Okay. So do you have pet snakes at home?
Not right now. I have geckos and birds.
Okay. What kind of snakes did you have when you had
Corn
them?
snakes. My
Corn
mom never let me
snakes.
get anything else.
Well, since you mentioned a corn snake, let's bring out a corn snake. First thing. Now, not only are all these snakes non-venomous, they are also native snakes. Now, y'all are junior naturalists. I imagine y'all have probably heard that word native bounced around. Can anybody tell me what that word means? What does native mean?
It originates in our native country, sir, which means that comes from where we are.
Very good. Very good. I just want to salute you after you said that.
He take it.
That's a very good answer. Yes, these snakes have always been here. They have evolved here. They are. Oh, and I didn't realize this snake is getting a little bit cloudy when they get ready to shed. As you know, you've had a corn snake. All snakes get a little bit cloudy, and eventually they will lose their skin. They will peel their skin off.
And then they'll get new skin underneath.
Correct, and it's a beautiful thing to watch a snake so colorful like this corn snake, because the skin that is underneath it is really, really impressive.
And
Yes.
if the skin comes off on licks, that means they have mites.
Oh, that's
And
interesting.
you need to give them like a bath to get away with the mites.
So to get rid of the mites.
Mm-hmm.
We have had, it's interesting you say that, this snake was ill, not with mites, but with another illness. And it did. It had a very irregular shed. And that, the vet told us that's usually a sign that there's something going on, that they're not really healthy. That's interesting you said about mites. I didn't know that. I'm going to have to keep that in mind. Y'all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at this end, and I'm going to come around to you. And here's the way I usually ask people to let me know if they want to hold or touch a snake. You put your hands out like this, okay? If you don't have your hands out, if you have your hands in or behind your back, I'll just pass right by you, okay? and you can just look at it, and maybe I can come back by. But
Is he slimy?
No, it's not
Very
slimy.
smooth.
And I should have said that. Yeah, y'all, have they studied reptiles yet?
Not really.
Not really.
Like stinks.
No, we haven't done herps.
So when you're studying reptiles and amphibians, or herps, as Miss Kathy said, one of the ways that you tell the difference, reptiles have smooth, scaly skin, whereas amphibians like frogs and salamanders have very slimy, wet skin. So a lot of people, when they hold snakes, they think I guess they get them mixed up with amphibians. They think they're going to be slimy, but no, these are dry. Yes.
Skinks are more like snakeskin, but lizards like green anoles have more of a rough skin.
Yes, you're right. Those are the skinks and the lizards you're talking about are both reptiles.
I have 3 green anoles and 1 blue-tailed skink in my cage.
Now, what do you feed them?
And they're shiny mealworms.
Oh, okay. Now he has very warm hands, which I think a snake. Well, snakes never told me this. I don't know this for sure. But just in observing snakes over the number of years, because we are warm-blooded mammals, we have very warm skin compared to a cold-blooded snake. So it seems to me that they really kind of like being held by us. I think it feels like a big hug, or maybe lying out in the sun at the beach.
My last lizard that I had before Christmas used to like to lay on me a lot. I found her in my kitchen.
Uh-huh.
She
Wow.
wouldn't eat, but she said that she did. She wouldn't eat. So
I
she
can't
felt
wait.
like-
But just like watching this, but just like watching them like do this, it's like all movie and stuff.
Would you like to hold it or just touch it?
Nope.
I'm not sure about that, but it's very beautiful, isn't it?
Is that the color you want?
Yes, underneath it does.
No, it's brighter.
Think about that. Maybe we come by with another snake you want to touch.
I'm holding it.
You don't have to.
Just kind of move around with it a little bit there.
Okay, first of all, it looks like it's slime.
Good job.
It's not, Caitlin. Stop.
Shiny. Mama, it kind of looks.
Just because it's shiny doesn't mean it's slimy.
What coloration did your corn snake?
Mine was always like a brown line, like brown spots line.
They come in, corn snakes come in a number of different varieties, and actually this is a very popular snake in the pet trade. And snake owners will breed them just like people breed dogs to get different color varieties.
I like how the bottom is. It's like checkers.
Yes, like checkers or a chessboard or like a piano keyboard.
That's why it's called
Okay, I want to stop.
Now, can anyone tell me? The snake keeps flicking its tongue in and out. Can anyone tell me what's going on with that? What's it doing?
I think his tail feels so weird. I think he.
What do you think it's doing with its tongue?
I'm not sure. It's smelling.
Does anybody? I'm sure you know, don't you? What's it doing? It's smelling. That's how a snake smells. Y'all know how closely taste and smell are associated. I mean, you know how you come into a room, you smell something good
Easy.
cooking, and you smell it and you kind of taste it. Well, a snake reaches out with that tongue, grabs some scent particles, and then puts it back in its mouth and kind of tastes it. And that's how it smells. So it smells a little bit differently than mammals do.
No.
I'm sorry.
No, he was really cool. He was moving around, and I got him.
It's very soft.
She's like, no. I was saying, no. I got him. Okay, two things how you're not holding those two. I'm not holding
Well,
Caitlin.
the snake that I'm getting out here is another non-venomous snake, very closely related to the corn snake. In fact, it's the same genus. What kind of snake? Coffee snake? Well, I've never heard it called that, but that doesn't mean, common names as y'all have learned with plants. Well, this is another snake native to South Carolina, but this is a juvenile or a young version of a black rat snake. So this is what they look like when they're born out of the egg, and they stay this pattern for about 2 years, and then they become, at least up here in the upstate, they become uniformly or all black on top. Like this one is much smaller. Yes, I'll get the alligator out.
Caitlin, volume.
Unless they're like a wild snake.
Now you would hold the corn snake, but not this little one. Why is that?
Because the little ones. Is that a wild snake? Well, because I am afraid
It was
of
a wild snake. I found it in my front yard last September, so it's not
This
even.
one really likes to move.
It does.
No,
Nope.
no, I'm good.
Brown snakes in my yard all the time.
That's one of our.
How about I found a dead
Brown
snake in my yard?
No, he killed it.
Or
no,
probably the most
here?
common-
Yeah,
common
the guy
Yeah.
had to grab his head. My brother, he used to catch snakes. He taught me how. You have to grab the snake like jaw head, and then you gotta grab his tail.
Well, now I have to tell you, it's probably not a good idea to pick up wild snakes, just because you may not know what the.
Yeah, well, my brother.
It could be a venomous snake, and that might.
They were always around that. I'm not holding it.
Just cleared eyes.
I might touch
so
the
it
alligator,
should
but I'm not
be
holding
like any day now.
Will you touch it? Yeah, I would touch it, but I'm not holding it. Because they can just bite automatically.
Anything can bite, Caitlin.
A wild snake, you pick it up, no matter what kind of snake it is.
You wanna like I like the little one like Would you hold that one? My baby. Would you hold him?
But I have to shut off about
I'm coming
A lot of venom.
Oh, good. Y'all, I gotta pack up for Sunday.
I thought the baby dragon
And also, in fact, I
Sunday
saw
night.
this picture the other day,
Sunday night.
they were-
I wouldn't be
I don't
scared
think
to
it's
hold the
so
little
loud,
one.
but it also rattled its tail.
The big one. I was really excited.
And they were like, "Is that right?" A lot of non-venomous snakes do that when they're
Right.
small.
That's what I got them today.
I might hold the baby alligator.
Okay.
They would definitely. So they kind of do that in defense
That's a good idea.
as a way to defend themselves, because they really don't think about it. Non-venomous snake, the only defense it has.
No, I can't believe this coming up. We had a remote holiday yesterday.
Why not?
Because I only have one hand.
I'll take the papers and stuff and you can look.
Where did you see him?
Hit with a Q-tip, that's about how.
Okay, so you
Trying to get comfortable. Take a nap.
Alright,
You have such warm hands.
Come back.
You have a warm heart to go along with that.
I might hold the baby alligator.
All right, let's get the gators out. I know y'all. Everybody. I guess because we don't have gators in the upstate, everybody gets really excited. Oh, you want to do the baby one first?
Yes,
Okay.
the baby
All right, we'll do that. Y'all, this is a relatively new animal, just as that young rat snake is. I haven't had this one that long.
Are those two, the mom's that one?
No. I should have brought my adult skull, my adult gator skull. I usually do, but it got dropped by someone yesterday, and it's kind of in.
Oh, the big
Yes.
skull.
Yeah. So I got to glue it back together. Maybe I can bring it back the next time. Y'all, adult gators get to be. Let's see. All right. How long is this table? Is this table 8 feet?
Yeah.
Okay. An adult gator, yes, will grow to about that long. Back to where James and I are standing, and weigh nearly 1,000 pounds.
15 feet.
Can you imagine an animal that big? This is a gator that's not even a year old yet, so it has a.
They not biting?
They get handled a lot. They get handled by a lot of people, and they don't really have any reason. They're kind of like non-venomous.
They're not.
They don't
He's
really-
not giving them a reason to
Yeah,
want
they don't
to.
really have a reason to fight.
Will you hold the alligator? When
Maybe.
you go out in the wild and
Yes, if you go out in the
You're in
wild,
his home. That's why you're invading his
They
space.
will act very differently. So that's one thing I want to impress upon
How
you.
rude.
you might want
Is
to
that
like
if
pet him
you do
first
see, if you go down to the coast, near the coast, and see an alligator, whether it's this size or whether it's that size, do you think you should go get close to it?
No.
you definitely can't. And you
They
won't
say
want
no,
to.
but mine will. Look.
They will hiss at you and snap at you. They will not act like these little gators.
Yes.
You have a question?
So in my grandparents' pond, and it got caught on my fishing wire, and I was just like,
Yeah, where do your grandparents live?
Florida.
Oh yes,
We're
okay,
going
Florida.
over there.
Y'all, which reminds me, since y'all are naturalists, I want to ask you, I said that all these animals are native to South Carolina. So are these gators. But do they live up here in the upstate of South Carolina?
No.
No, they don't. Can y'all tell me why they don't live up here? I'm gonna give you a hint. There's two main reasons that gators don't live in the upstate. One is a habitat reason, and one is a temperature reason.
It can get too hot or too cold.
It gets too cold up here is the temperature reason. They don't. These are reptiles, so they don't like cold. What's the other reason? Do you know? What's the habitat reason?
They don't like mountainous regions, sir?
They don't. You're right. They do not really like mountains because mountains are not the type of habitat. Well, that's pretty close too.
It's related to the water.
It is very related to the water. Do you want to take a? We're missing a particular type of habitat that these gators really like.
Maybe.
Yes, that's true. What are we missing up here?
They need a swamp.
Swamp. There you go. That's the word I was looking for. The big S word. We do have swamps in the upstate, but we don't have the big open water swamps that they have in the low country where gators have. Y'all, there's a line. There's a line cut through the center of the state. It falls about where the sand hills are. If y'all know where the sand hills are, from about Columbia, the state capital, down to the beach is where gators live, and that also is where our venomous water moccasin live. They occupy the same habitat.
Water snakes?
We have water snakes in the upstate, but we don't have venomous water snakes. We have non-venomous water snakes up here in the upstate. Well, let's see. Let me quit talking. I'm gonna bring this gator around for y'all to look at. We'll do both of them. Even though this gator is so little and cute, it's actually harder to hold than the big gators because it won't be still.
It's like a baby. It's wiggly.
Yes, it's just wiggling all the time, so it's kind of hard to hold. But we'll take a look at this.
It's like, Mama, put me down. I want to explore.
I'm going to be able to hold this one.
Well, since y'all are naturalists, y'all the web feet tells you this animal lives where?
I'm going to the big
In the water, very good. It has raised scales to protect it and also help keep it cool in the summer and warm in the winter. And then look at the eyes how they sit up off the floor. What do you think? Why would it have raised eyes like that?
Mama, I don't want to hold it. I just want to change it.
Well, just tell him that.
Very good. That's a good way of putting it. So it look like a wall, because that is kind of what they look like.
Don't know. He'll tell you.
Yeah,
They've
look,
been,
alligators
you're
right there.
right,
Look,
they
they're
have been around since the dinosaurs.
See,
and
Taz
they've
Bubba
been
race
out of that
sometime.
time.
Taz would kind of laid up on Bubba's back.
Well, Dylan called me and said that they were fighting.
I know. The alligator looks like he's just trying to take a nap. Hey, Orange. Hey, Orange.
Next time, maybe when I bring those bigger
The
games.
alligator looks like he's just trying to get someone to take a nap.
You gonna hold one of these?
Yeah, I'm going to hold everything. I'm not scared.
They get really, really big though, they're no longer
I
cute.
think they want her warm.
Yes, you're right. These gators are also cold-blooded, just like the snakes. So yes, I think they like it.
That's why
I don't know if I will get him back in time, and it's different. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I want to do. I just want to pet it, not hold it.
It feels really, really good. It's almost like an armor plate on the top. Whereas on the bottom, feel how soft it is on the bottom.
There's like a snail right
in the way.
So that tells you that the threats, things that might get gators usually are from above, not from below.
But his body feels like claws.
It does, doesn't it?
If I hold him, will you pet him?
Good job. What you think about this one?
You pet him?
He's such a baby.
Hi, darling.
The bottom of his neck.
Oh, I got you. There you go.
He likes chin rubs. It's like Bubba, he likes chin rubs.
How about the little gator? What do you think about this?
Y'all notice the webbed feet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy Kathy,
Frogs have webbed feet so they can swim.
I can't wait for it to
Right.
spin around the big gators.
We're gonna
Yeah,
pick one of the
but
big
sharks aren't
gators
sharks.
out.
I want to pet one of the big gators. I don't want to pet gators. No. Yes.
All right, I'll start down on this end. Now, y'all, with these gators, they're the only danger to holding them. They're not going to bite you. They don't. Let's keep our fingers away from the
heel
because they do have lots of sharp little teeth. They're just not interested in biting. But what they will do to you, because they live in the water all the time, is somebody might get tinkled on. So you just got to be ready to deal with that. If you do, it's no big deal. It doesn't smell at all. It's just like water,
And it won't hurt you.
And it won't hurt you. You just wait, and we'll get you a paper towel. Okay? It may not happen, but it usually does to somebody. So I don't know. I think as they get handled, they get more likely to just kind of let go. But these are if you'll put your hands out, and I'll let you hold, a hand on each set of legs. These are very easy to hold. Actually, a lot easier to hold than that little tiny thing.
Maybe it's pretty.
Yeah, little lizards are super hard to hold, especially
If you hold them in the stomach,
It is pretty heavy. And you can see, now you can really see the
When you pick up a gecko,
wet feet.
Oh,
Wow. What I need, right on, sorry about that. What I need is like a star that says, I've been tinkled on by the American alligator. You know what?
I'm just going to pet this how big
You held on to that, you didn't drop it.
I'm holding it.
So, James is going to get you a paper towel.
Oh,
That was, usually it's not quite that much. That was a long string. It's almost like it was waiting for you.
That's something that can be like secret.
Yes. You will have a good story to tell about this class.
When you get home, tell Mom.
I'm just amazed at how calm he was.
Yeah.
But he just
Some people would freak out.
that happens very often, and sometimes
Always
they
get ready.
drop. And I have to dive underneath it to keep it from getting hurt.
Ellen, do you want to touch it?
Hey, looks like you guys just trying to get somewhere to take a nap.
Touch his tail. It just kind of feels real rough. Yeah, it feels just bumpy.
It feels like Daddy
I've got him, so
You hold it.
Honey, I can't hold him with one hand.
They're a little bit scary.
Oh, we'll pet him. We'll pet him on his back.
Some people take no back.
Yeah, I think we got time. We'll let the albino be the last thing. You want to hold it? You just want to touch it?
He feels like a turtle.
It does. Well, it's a reptile, just like a turtle.
My brother has 2 turtles. Like a dinosaur. Oh wow, he's a big one.
Yeah, compared to
I
that.
like how his tail is. He got spikes.
Y'all, I wish I had a tank, a humongous water tank that I could let you watch it swim in, because they are absolutely amazing swimmers.
It feels like
They're very awkward on land because they have these short, stubby little legs, and they're not animals of land.
Now, he's not going to hold. We're just going to
Don't
pet.
touch it. They are not really animals of land. They are
Hi,
animals
baby.
of the water.
You can really see the nice webbed feet.
Look at up here. Why?
I kind of don't like to put it because there's all kind of stuff on the floor that's
Yeah.
probably not good for it.
Yeah, there could be chemicals. Or
Look at the baby.
Dust bunnies,
get a hairball.
hairballs.
His tail feels like a snake.
Did you tell James about the
baby.
barn owl
Baby.
habitat that we visited? Oh my goodness.
Oh, we saw barn out.
Caitlin, sit down so you can put him up.
The place where it lived though was the really amazing.
Yeah, and you talk about a pile of owl pellets.
Oh,
Oh my.
it was like a boneyard.
There you go.
Oh, really?
She's like,
Is it a pair, I guess?
Apparently there had been owlets
Yeah.
raised in there at least
Yeah.
in the not too
It's
distant past. But it was made the whole floor of that. It was an old silo, an old agricultural silo, and the whole floor was just littered with bones. I mean, it was like something out of a horror movie.
And it was a barn owl.
Yeah, barn owls,
Yeah.
which I had never seen. Well, it's been a while.
All right, y'all. The last reptile we're gonna have time for. This is the same snake, the same species of snake that we held first. Y'all remember? You know the name of it. What was it? The corn snake. This is a corn snake. Do you have a question? It is very good. Do you know? Can you tell me what albino means? What is this snake missing?
Orange. I know, but.
It's color. Very good.
Well, the thing just said if I get a ferret, she wants me to show her a picture of it.
Right. This snake is
She wants to see a
missing
picture of
color,
a ferret.
which is what an albino. We have albino. There are albino mammals. There are albino reptiles. I think there are albinos in a lot of them. Yes. Do you have a question?
I actually used to go to a karate class with an albino kid in it.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm sure that person probably had to stay out, did not get in the sun, right? Had to stay out of the sun or had to, because they're usually very, very sensitive to sunlight. They have no pigment, so they don't have any protection from the sun.
Last time you were here, I had an albino roly-poly at my house.
Really? Wow, that's pretty interesting.
So they're like sun sensitive, like they don't like the sun because they don't like getting a suntan or anything.
Right. Yeah, that would be very damaging to an albino.
Sun kid, that snake come on bottle.
Could it have water?
No, can it go underwater?
Oh, can it go under? Yes, it can. Any snake can swim, and we actually have. I've seen pictures. I've not actually witnessed it, but I've seen videos and pictures of rattlesnakes swimming, copperheads swimming. So any snake can swim, but some snakes are more land snakes. This is more of a land snake, but I'm sure that this horn snake can swim if we put it in the water. Yes.
I just remembered something. A long time ago, when I was 5 or 6 years old, I was
A long time ago? How long ago was that?
6
I'm sorry.
6 or 7 years. Maybe it was 5.
Really?
I don't know.
You're right. That is a long time for him. You're right.
Oh, but either way, I was swimming in Lake Kiwi, and I was pretty far out, and my parents were on the shore, and then something came out of like a little marsh-like area to my left and swam right between us, and we didn't know what it was. We all thought it was a stick, and it's like, holy cow, it's a snake. It was about 7 feet long.
Wow. That was probably, you said it was like kiwi?
Yes, it was
That was
Lake
probably
Kiwi.
a species of water snake known as the northern water snake. That's the normal snake we see at Lake Kiwi. That doesn't mean for sure that's what it was, but I would guess that that's what it was. Yeah.
Basically, their carriers fill with water, and that's how you get the mites out. And they just swim on top.
Oh, so that kind of floats the mites off. Okay. Y'all, let me ask you a question about this snake's ability to survive in the wild. Because this snake is white, is it camouflaged? Can it be camouflaged? No, it can't. It would have
In the winter.
in the snow. Yeah, that's very true. But remember that reptiles don't like the snow. They don't like cold. So you would not, and that's one reason why at the North Pole or the South Pole, where it's very, very cold, we don't have reptiles. They just wouldn't survive in those kinds of conditions. Yeah, they'd just be, they just wouldn't.
Like they would go for a suntan any day.
Right. So, because this snake has no camouflage, it can't sneak up on things that it wants to eat. And all, God bless you, and all the things that like to eat this snake can see it from a long ways away. Think about that, a hawk that was way up here in the air with really good eyesight. Could it see this snake really well?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it doesn't blend in at all. So let me ask you this, y'all as naturalists. How long do you think an albino snake would last in the woods after being born? How long do you think?
No significant time, sir.
How long do you think?
Day.
That's kind of what I think. That's always but it could be a couple. There's no right answer to this, y'all. It could be days, it could be hours, but I know this, it wouldn't be long. I've never seen an albino snake in the wild, and I don't think I don't want to say you'll never see an albino snake, because y'all will go out in the woods tomorrow and see one. But it's very unlikely that you would ever see an albino snake in the wild because they just can't hide. And there are lots of things that like to eat a juicy snake besides hawks. Just about anything that eats meat would love to eat a snake because there's a lot of muscle here and a little bit of backbone, and they make a really good meal.
Then how does he get his food?
That's a good question. Albino snakes in the pet trade almost always live in captivity or live with people. So we've had this snake. This snake is probably 10 or 12 years old, I think. We were given this by, I think, somebody from Bad Creek. I think Alan Boggs, Bad Creek, introduced us to this snake. And so we keep it inside and we feed it, and it does great. It actually eats a lot more than the normally colored snakes. It's a very, very enthusiastic eater. So most of the albino snakes that you're going to see are going to be in captivity, or the ones that people have as pets. Yes.
The only thing that lives in winter are polar bears.
Polar bears. Yeah, they do fine because they have lots of fat. Here, I'm going to start with you here. I didn't start in the middle. What was your question? I'm sorry.
How do they usually get their food if they're out in the wild?
Well, an albino snake wouldn't. Unfortunately, it would, like I said, something would probably eat it before it reached adulthood.
It might get lucky and be able to find something to eat.
Yeah.
But
it would, it might sneak up on a mouse. Or
maybe an albino mouse.
Yes. That was having an equally difficult time.
Somebody's got it.
So, and when they're very young, they'll also eat other things too. They'll eat crickets, lizards, anything they can catch when they're young.
Oh yeah, like how many snakes are out in the wild?
Lots.
Pinkies is what the little juvenile rat snake eats.
He's so fascinating. I just want to pet it.
Just want to pet him.
Y'all, if you look,
Cold.
you can still see the pattern. You can still see the pattern on the snake, but it just doesn't have any color.
Yeah.
I think they're done because he's already been here for 30 minutes.
This one. Huh.
It's good that they're there.
You still have a question? Go ahead and ask. That's good. Questions are good.
Just because he is white.
I know one thing about snakes. I know ways to get them off if they bite you. Ice, vodka, or vinegar.
You're right.
Or water in its mouth.
It might, if it was good at hiding, it might sure enough be able to last longer.
Maybe if I was at home.
Yeah, under a log. Be protected.
Practice hide and seek. That's true.
We also have snack packets if you want a snack. But we can do those too.
I believe it really likes how
I like the gator.
Mm-hmm.
The baby gator.
Sounds like you need to
Last
get
time I
another
sat like this,
snake.
my leg gets stuck right here. That's also called the chairs. Like the chairs on my always down right here, like down against my leg.
I'm not sure how great. Those are very gentle snakes. They don't try to bite, and it wouldn't hurt if they did bite. But they have a bad habit of musky.
Oh my God, is dinner gonna be an hour?
Unpleasant odor.
We'll probably eat when we get home.
Could be after
It's just
you
some
handle
sandwiches.
them a while.
Yeah, it's not
they
gonna
would
take
stop
well,
doing
and
that.
we can wait. We can wait until a little bit nighttime to do s'mores
Easy
again.
things for you to find.
Well, if you do like you did last night and try to eat s'mores right after dinner, you're not going to eat hardly any.
It'll be a cheap snake. It will cost you.
The what?
Nighttime, like those.
And they stay small. They never get any bigger than like 12 inches.
He likes the glass. He has his chin on the glass. He's like this. I have a YouTuber that
It's not a defect, it's a mutation.
and his name is Ray.
And,
But his eyes look like one of my nieces. His eyeballs look like
She explained it to me how it happened. And it made perfect sense when she explained it. Of course, I retain none of it. But it's just kind of like a random mutation.
Field guide. It has everything.
Pigmentation gene somehow is not in there. And out of a clutch of say 20 eggs, you might only have one albino. Or you might have several albinos. It just kind of depends on how it is.
Eliza went to put her face in front of him. He was like, "Hey there, Nida," and starts walking towards her. Sticks his nose in the corner looking at her.
Might have been, or probably carried that gene for albino.
But it's a recessive gene.
But you can get scholarships.
And then they both have to come
together. That makes it.
Yeah.
I call him a snake.
That is an Eastern king snake.
I was too long. Mama, I was too
Well, y'all, I
long.
hate to tell you, but I'm gonna have to hit the road here because you have a Pickens shirt on. I'm going to a Pickens High School track meet here. And my daughter's going to run.
Okay, go look at the animals before they go.
I will come back sometime. How about that? Maybe when we have a little more time.